This is a blanket if I ever did see one. Hello, my name is Emily from Crochet Creations and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am so excited to talk with you today about all the things that I am working on, knitting, crocheting, all that jazz. So let's get right into it. First and foremost, I had a giveaway on my channel a few months ago and I've pulled multiple winners and no one has gotten back to me. So we're just starting fresh. I really want to get this sock set out of my life, honestly. I don't want it to sit on my shelf anymore. I want it to go to a good home. This is Emma's yarn, the Practically Perfect sock base, and I picked out this skein and this mini skein specifically for my 500 subscriber giveaway, and as I said, no one has contacted me that has won, so we are starting over. So if you want to win this sock set, comment down below and tell me an idea of something you want to see on my channel, some kind of video, if there's a specific tutorial you want or a specific type of vlog or other content. Just give me a video idea that you'd like to see from me, or if there's a video I've done in the past that you want me to do again, if there's like a series you want me to continue in, anything like that, just give me a video idea. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Before the next episode of my podcast, I will draw a comment winner. So please show up for me and you could win this because I really want to gift this to one of my subscribers to celebrate. I've actually almost hit 600, which is really exciting. So thank you so much for being here with me as I share my Yarnie journey. Don't forget about this. If you want this sock set, this pink is blowing out just a little bit, not too much. That's news out of the way. So let's get right into my finished objects. Noticed that I'm wearing a shawl. It is a little colder in my house, so it seems appropriate to just wear a shawl. This, honestly, blanket, it's ginormous. It's kind of too big to wear on my neck without feeling like kind of claustrophobic inside. Outside, when it's colder, it's so nice to have all those extra layers as I wrap it around and around, but inside, I like having it draped on my shoulders. So this is my Find Your Fade shawl, and it is by Andrea Mowry. It was on my Make 9 last year, and I didn't quite finish it. So I really wanted to finish it before the year mark of when I casted it on. I cast it on February 14th, Valentine's Day of 2022. So I worked really hard at the beginning of February to like bang this out and get it finished. So it is ginormous. It's like 10 feet long with like the really long edges. I have to check my gauge. I measured gauge and whatnot when I was starting, but I started like a year ago, and so I'm not sure if things changed or maybe just the way that I blocked this out. Was I too aggressive? I'm not sure. I just wanted the lace to open up. I did make sure to stretch it out, so maybe that made it too big, but it's ginormous. It is so big. Last podcast, I was like somewhere around here. So I still had like quite a few inches left to go. I transitioned from this mauvey pinky purple color into my cream and finished it off, and then I ran out of yarn. I didn't want to leave like a weird edge. There is this central spine, if you can see, that runs through the shawl, and as you are decreasing on the second half of the shawl, that spine gets closer and closer to the edge. And then when the spine reaches the edge, that's when you are done with the shawl. And I didn't want to leave like a little notch by ending 10 rows early. So I ended up putting in another like cream color for the last little bit. Certain lights you can see the color difference, and certain lights you can't. I figured it's the best that I could do. This is all in Sorella yarn in their fall tonals. Let me see if I can remember the names. So this is called Cottage, or Videri when I bought it a couple years ago. This berry color, you can see it a little bit better right here, is called Charlotte. And then this light mauve pink color is called Cashmere. And then the cream is Ceramic. And then for the last like 10 rows, this is the color Cardigan, also from Sorella yarn, but from their Taylor Swift collection, because it was my closest cream to this color, and It has a little bit more of a pink tint than the ceramic did, and so it still kind of went with the whole vibe of the shawl, even though it wasn't exactly the same shade. I finally finished it. It's gone on for so long, partly because it's so big, but also because I just found that I didn't enjoy garter stitch. Now I know that for like a huge project like this, garter stitch is not the way to go. That's not gonna keep me interested. So it just was kind of on the back burner for months and months and months, but I'm so glad to have it done. I love this color palette. And like I said, it is ridiculously warm. When I wrap it around, it's just like, it's so much fabric. So it really keeps my neck warm. I've learned more about myself and what I like to knit. I like the idea of shawls, but doing a 4-skein shawl in mostly garter stitch was like not my jam. So now I know. I followed the fading for the first half of the shawl as written in the pattern, and then I got to the middle of the shawl. I realized I wouldn't be able to follow the fade sequence for the second half of the shawl, and so I just knit until I only had like, I don't know, 5 to 10 grams left of my yarn, and then I switched. And so I really have just little balls of most of my colors left, and then I ended up running out of ceramics. So if I had cut it even closer with my other colors in fading, I might have been able to make it, but again, I was cutting it really close. I just have a couple little scraps left, which is very satisfying, though I do love these colors and I kind of wish I had a little bit more, but this shawl definitely used like 1,600 yards, which is bonkers. So glad it's done. The weather is starting to get warmer, so I'm not sure how much I will get wear out of this for the time being, but we'll see. We still have some snow outside. It's still in the 30s, so I think I can enjoy it for a little bit longer. All right, my next finished object is my split decision pullover, and I do have quite a bit bigger things because I haven't podcasted it in like a month because life is really busy. So I do have some bigger things to share, but I'm not doing a weekly podcast to update you, so that's kind of why. Split decision pullover. I'll make sure to pop up some pictures so you can see. I love this sweater. It is so comfy. It fits me really well in like my bust and upper area. It's like mostly fitted for me on my body, and so it feels kind of like an athleisure type of garment, which is really fun. Some of my other sweaters feel more nice and I don't really want to wear them with sweats, but this I'll wear with leggings, I'll wear it with sweats, and so I'll get a lot of use out of it. I love this asymmetrical collar. I think it's just such a fun detail, and that's really why I wanted to test this pattern for Tiffany Lynn. Let's see some other features. I did the long like split cuff. I think I would like the split cuff better if I used a non-superwash yarn. I used Malabrigo Arroyo in the color, let's see, Neverland is the pink color, and then Tranquilo is the purpley color that I held together. So I used superwash yarn. I think if it was non-superwash, I would like the cuff better. For superwash, I feel like it's just kind of floppy. I don't know if you can hear my husband and my daughter are upstairs in the playroom, so you might be able to hear them a little bit. So I'm not like a fan of how this is wearing as I've been wearing it. So I think I'm gonna go back and I'm just gonna like insert my needle, cut off the bind off, rip back and bind off here and just have like a regular or plain old 1x1 cuff. But I figured I would try the split cuff and I like the idea of it, but I think this yarn was maybe not the best for it. Another feature of this design, my cat's been sleeping on this, so it's got all sorts of cat hairs on it. It's got this herringbone hem on the bottom, which is a really cool technique. It was really fun to do. I really like how it turned out, but on my body type, I am bigger on the bottom than I am in my bust. And I didn't take that into account when I volunteered to test the size I tested. And so I was like, oh yeah, it's fitting great up here. It's pretty fitted, but like enough positive ease to be comfortable. But on the bottom, I don't feel like it looks very attractive. So I am definitely going to go back and I'm going to change this. I'm going to go back, cut off the hem and redo it in a larger needle size because this fits me, but it looks a little bit, I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of stretched in the middle just because like to accommodate my body, my hips and my tummy. So I got some bigger needles, which are massive. This size is US 17. They're huge. So I started out with a 15, and so I think going up in needle size will just give it a little bit more room down there so it won't look so stretched out, and it can maybe lay a little bit more flat rather than stretched across the wettest part of my body. That's my plan. That's the thing I like about knitting and crocheting, is that you can go back and change things to make it work for you and your body and your style and your preferences. So I love these colors. I didn't really need like a pinky purpley sweater. These are the colors that spoke to me, and so these are the colors that I purchased for a sweater, because I really don't have a lot of DK weight yarn. It is a lighter DK, but it totally worked with gauge, and it worked with like how breathable the fabric is. I don't think it's too light of a yarn, the Malabrigo Royal. So if you want something a little bit more cost effective, then that's a good option, because it has that like hand-dyed look, but is on the less expensive side. Okay, big projects out of the way. I have a few more smaller finished objects that I want to share with you. Okay, first, a pair of socks. I tested this pattern. This is the Heath socks. Oh my gosh, I keep saying that. This is the Hearth sock pattern. I keep calling it the Heath socks. The Hearth sock pattern by Northwood Knit Co. And this was part of they had a sock collection that came out recently, and I tested this pattern. And so I've shown this before, but I finished the second sock. I love this yarn and pattern combination. I used Red Door Fiber Studio yarn. This is the color Found Family, I think. And then I think Found Family, and I can't remember what the mini was that came with it, but I love the texture. There's some little cable details, some twisted stitches, some purl bumps. So it was just a really fun texture to work on, and this yarn was so luscious to work with. It was so plump. It was so enjoyable. I really love these socks, and I haven't worn them because I wanted to show them on the podcast, but I love them like a lot. So I'm really glad I finished this pair. I'm not one to suffer from second sock syndrome necessarily, but I do like to have things really finished, and so it's good to be able to finish this whole pair so they are done, cross off the list. I have another test knit sock I'm going to show in my whip section that I am working through, because I really want to just finish the second sock to be able to wear them, use them, cross it off the list, all that stuff. So I'm a completionist. I like to finish things, so it feels good to get that off the needles. I have a couple other pairs of socks that I cast on fairly late in the month, and I'm really glad I got them done, but I tried the Journey Socks pattern. Ooh, and I can't remember who this pattern is by, but ta-da! So it's like a shorty sock pattern that actually doesn't go up the whole way of your foot. It leaves a little bit showing. It's not quite like a no-show sock like you'd wear with low-cut sneakers or like ballet flats or anything like that, but it's a lower cut than like a normal sock, which would be like around here. So it was a fun construction to try and to learn. Unfortunately, the pattern is only one size, and so I did a lot of modifications to make it work for different foot types. So I have a pair for me, and I have a pair for my sister-in-law, because her birthday's coming up right now in March. So I'm actually gonna make another pair for her for March out of Desert Vista Dye Works yarn for their knit along. I gotta get started on those because her birthday's coming up, so I gotta do that. But I wanted to make some shorties for her, like ultra shorties, because she really likes wearing that style of sock. So I made the first sock to pattern, ta-da, and she tried it on and she said it does fit. It's a little bit tight right here where you join in the round and start working in the round. And so what I did was I added a couple rows down here before you start increasing to join in the round. And then I took those rows off like the total length of the sock. So like, I can't remember how many I added, maybe like 4 rows down here in this like gusset-y area. And then I took 4 rows out of this part. So I just kind of shifted things along a little bit, and that I think will work perfectly. You can kind of see that the opening of the sock ends in slightly different spots because of that change. I ran with it. And for me, because I have some really thick feet, it was just like so uncomfortably tight. I couldn't barely even get on the first sock I made for my sister-in-law. So the second sock was pretty close, and with that knowledge, I decided to make some more modifications. So for my sock, I put 10 extra rows here after picking up stitches for the heel before I started increasing to join in the round. And then I took off that length from the foot in the round. So I kind of just moved some rows over, and that makes it so that this join in the round is lower down on my foot. So my foot is thinner, so it was more comfortable for that join. I also made the heel flap taller, so I made it the length that I normally do for my socks, whereas the original pattern, it's a little bit shorter than a regular heel flap would be for a given size. So I made it taller. It also made it easier to pick up the right number of stitches along the heel flap. And I have yet to wear these like out and about, in shoes, using them, all that stuff. So I'll have to let you know how they work out, but they're definitely more comfortable and they fit on my foot better than the original Journey sock pattern. So it is a shame that it's only one size. It is the most common size for like a woman's sock, but I feel like you could just do a little bit more math. I'm glad that I can have the confidence to make some modifications, but I know not everyone feels comfortable doing that. So I am going to make sure I put my modifications listed in my project page on Ravelry. So if you want to try doing similar things to what I did, you can try it. But I do have a higher arch and a very like thick hobbity foot. So I definitely needed to make adjustments because the original pattern was made for someone whose foot was a lot more slim than mine. So I'm happy with that. I'll have to try them out and let you know how that fit goes as far as wearability. Because something also I've noticed with shorty socks is my cuff tends to get a little bit loose. And so I'm wondering if this will work better just because it fits me in a different spot. We shall see. But yeah, 2 sock pairs done for the Desert Vista Dye Works monthly sock club for February. So I should start the ones for March pretty soon so I can stay on track with that. Work in progress, or WIPs. I am really in the mood to finish things, to clear things off my plate, to kind of just cross things off the list and be able to move on to some other things because I have so many things that I want to start and I just don't get excited to start more things when I already have a lot going on. And with life getting really busy right now, I just don't want stress from lots of projects hanging around. Like I want to be able to finish and enjoy those projects. Let me share with you some of my WIPs. Let's continue on the sock train since we ended on socks with finished objects. I mentioned that I had another test knit that I was trying to finish, and it is this pattern, the Heartsplosion socks. I tested this for Alendria Knits. Such a fun color work design. There were some things I wanted to try and do better for the second sock, and so I'm implementing that. I really hadn't worked on this a lot. I was hoping to get the second sock done in time for Valentine's Day so I could wear them. And I only had like 3 rounds done on the cuff by Valentine's Day. But then I needed a project to take with me when I'm traveling by train to go to and from work. I do that sometimes. I'm still trying to figure out what works best for me to go up to work because it's quite a ways away. So I had this with me and I was able to finish the leg. Yay! I am working on 9-inch circulars, whereas the last sock I did on Magic Loop. I'm hoping that this will help with some laddering and to kind of even out the color work a little bit better. But yeah, I just barely started the heel flap. So I've got still a ways to go on this, but I'm grateful to be able to make some solid progress since it just kind of hung out in my WIP basket for weeks. Even though I meant to work on it, it was not a priority. So this yarn, let me show you. This yarn is Woolbury Fiber Co. in the colorway Shop Around the Corner. And this is Cascade Heritage Sock. And this is some like iron mine or iron forged iron. Something like that is the color name. So it's this really beautiful, really dark charcoal gray color. And I'm really happy with how the sock is turning out. It's actually, I don't know if you can really tell the way it is now, especially like the way I'm holding on my needle, but it is a mirrored pattern. So the hearts on the sock will be mirrored when I'm wearing them, which would be really fun. And I know that she has a shamrock pattern with a similar style coming out really soon. So keep an eye out for that. And then another sock that I started yesterday. I'm trying to work through it really fast. This is a sock that my friend requested from me. It's not like I take requests or anything, but she's a special friend and her birthday is actually coming up in March, this month. She had said that she would like a pair of socks and she asked it so nicely. I was like, I would love to make you a pair of socks. And I just hadn't gotten around to it yet. And I was like, you know what? Her birthday's in March. I'm going to make it happen. And I'm going to try really hard to finish them and get them shipped off to her so she can get them by her birthday. Because I think that would be really sweet. So she wanted gray and red socks with big stripes on them. So this is what I came up with. The stripes are 12 rounds. She told me previously like how big her foot was, like what size she wears, but it's not like we actually measured how long or how wide her foot was. So I'm just extrapolating here. I need to sit down, measure this, look online to kind of get an idea for how long like a woman's size 10 foot is usually, and then kind of do my math for negative ease to make this sock. I did a 60 count sock because I know that she has a much thinner foot than me, and I usually do a 64 count, and I have a thick hobbit foot like I have said. So I'm hoping that this works. I also cast on the cuff in a size 0 instead of a size 1 to make it even snugger, to kind of help with, like I said, my shorty socks tend to have a looser cuff with wear. So that's something I'm trying out. So hopefully that works out well. I will have to let you know how this like distance mathing of her foot will work. I hope that the sock works out well for her. But I have finished the gusset and I'm well into the foot now. So probably another red stripe and maybe one more gray stripe, and then I'll finish off the toe. I think that next gray stripe will probably go into the toe a little bit. We shall see. I'm just kind of making it happen and I don't really have time to rip back and try again. So I've had a couple weird things with like ends and stuff that I'm just like, you know what? I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but like I don't have time. So I'll just have a few extra ends to weave in and just kind of figuring it out. So there's that sock. The yarn that I'm using, this is Stroll in the color Strawberry. It's from Knit Picks. And honestly, it's knitting up really smoothly. This is leftover from my brother's sock that I made for Christmas. And then this is Lang Yarns Yawool. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's in this pretty heathered gray color. Looking at it more deeply as I'm knitting it, there's a lot more like little fuzzy bits of like white strands and black strands hanging off of it. So there's more going on to this yarn than it might look just at first glance. So that's kind of interesting, though it is a little bit different of a halo compared to the Stroll yarn, which is a more smoother, consistent yarn because it's not heathered at all. So it's just a little bit different. So I really hope that my friend likes these. I'm really going to try hard to finish these this weekend. Today's Saturday. So if I started this yesterday. I definitely can finish one sock today, and Sundays, usually I can get a lot of knitting done. So I'm hoping I can get this sock done today, start the next sock, and then finish it tomorrow. So I can send it out on Monday maybe. So those are my sock whips. Let's see what else. We're going like small to big. So this is another whip that honestly I'm probably gonna put on the back burner. It's not really important right now, but I wanted to work on a Wonderland mitt. I recently came out with the Wonderland hat pattern, and that was really fun to design, and I've sized it from newborn all the way up through adult large, and I really wanted to make mittens to match it. So my first mitten was scary. The way that the fabric stretched out with wear made it super long, and so it was like an alien hand. It was really creepy, but this fits me perfectly. Maybe the thumb is a little bit more snug than I'd want it to be, but like it's good enough for like pictures and to then base the final pattern off of this sample. I'm going to rip back the first mitten that was scary, and I'm going to re-crochet it and probably see if I want to like add like one more stitch to the thumb and around, something like that. I'm not quite sure. We'll see, but I'm really happy with how like the thumb gusset is. It's worked from the top down, and so you can see there's like a little bit of line there for the gusset. And I love having this stitch pattern on the cuff, a rolled up cuff. It is super cute. Ta-da! So yeah, cute mitten. I'm really proud of this. I'm so happy. I've tried making this mitten like 4 times, and it's finally worked out. in a way that I'm happy enough with, that I feel like I just maybe need a few more little tweaks and then I'm good to go. So I'll probably be working on this in the background if I have nothing else going on, but I don't think I'll come out with a Wonderland mitt pattern until the fall because it's already March and I'm ready for spring, honestly, but I'm really happy that I can finally like have this taken care of. And I wrote down the notes for this pattern in my phone so I can go back and like make little tweaks, make the second one, and then start working on the math for this. But yeah, this is gonna be a fall pattern, I think. I don't think I can fit this in before then, but I'm happy to report I have a successful sample now. I am super excited about this next whip. This is my last whip. It is a big one. I'd wanted to make my husband a cardigan for Christmas as a Christmas gift, and about halfway through December, I realized it was not gonna get done in time. There was just too much other things going on. We had just moved into a new house. We were gonna travel for the holidays. I was making socks for people. Like, there was just too much. So I put it down, knew I'd come back to it. And then I just felt kind of guilty that I hadn't done it yet. And so I hadn't worked on it for a few weeks. And so then middle of February, I was like, you know what? I need to just sit down and start like getting little chunks of this done. And you know what? I finished the back panel. This marker is actually just to help me with where the armhole is. I was like, where was I? I was like right here. So I worked on it for like about an inch. I did the shoulders and that's all that the back panel needed. It was so close to being finished, which is really embarrassing. And then I actually did the front panels. I've started the front panels. So let me show you. I kind of wrap this around. How do I say this? I did not finish any front panel, but I started one because reading the instructions, I was just like, I'm gonna get confused on which side is which. So I'm just gonna start with one. And then I worked all the way to the armhole, where now I'm gonna do some more shaping. And then I was like, you know what? I like have a good handle on this. I really want to knit these two at a time. And so I started the second one. And then I put it onto this same needle and they're in the same orientation. So I have farther to go. I think I'm gonna do these more like in tandem, like going back and forth rather than actually two at a time. So I finished this section of this front panel. And then I'm going to finish that section in this front panel. And then I'm going to do the armhole shaping on one side and then switch to the other, do the armhole shaping, just so I can make sure that I do the correct rate of increases and the correct number of rows and just make sure that they match as close as possible, because I know if I do one whole side and then I start the other side, there might be some discrepancies. So I think this is gonna work out well, and it's honestly going really fast. So I'm really excited. This is Wool of the Andes worsted in the color Delft Heather, I think. But I'm working through this at a pretty good pace. So I don't necessarily have like a time that I think this is gonna be done or I'm hoping to get done. My husband's birthday is in August, so I really hope it's done before then. I'm not sure if this will be done before like spring really sets in, but I'm just gonna try to work on it constantly to kind of get it done so that my husband can have it as soon as possible. So once I finish the two front panels, I need to do the two sleeves, and then probably I will block everything, seam it together, and then pick up for the shawl. There's a shawl collar, but I haven't looked that far in the pattern, so I could be getting this wrong. But that's kind of what I think will happen with like the order of the fins. I'm excited. This cardigan has a really fun texture. I'll show it on here because you can see it a little bit better, but it's got like a patchwork style where like the squares are either stockinette or they've got some cables. Yeah, you can see that a little better. Yeah, it's gonna stretch out a lot bigger when I block it. It's a fun texture. It's been fun to work on, and like once I get back into the groove of it, I have a really easy time reading my stitches and knowing where to go. It just took me a little bit to get back into it since I put it down for like a month and a half. Really excited about this. This pattern is Viking by Martin Story. It's from a really old issue of Rowan magazine from like 2012. So it took me a little bit to track it down, and it is only size up to 3X because it's an older pattern. I'm excited to show you my progress as I keep going on this. And just to keep it out of the way while I'm working on one side, I like wrap this up around the ball of yarn. And then I have one of these skein savers. I think this one's from the Hook Nook when they were selling them. Toddlers having toddler moment. And just wrap it around to kind of like ball it up so that my other skein isn't flying around and then like the front panel is not like flopping around either. So it's been working out pretty well actually. So let's have a little heart to heart, because now I would love to share with you some of the new Yarnie goodies that I've gotten recently, though it's been like a month and so lots of things have come in. Part of me is a little embarrassed and part of me also feels like this is excessive. I don't know if you want to hear about every single thing I've gotten, because that'll be a lot. And I will definitely try to make it a little bit more abbreviated, because all the information will be down in the description box. But let me know down below, do you want to hear about the things that I have purchased recently? Are you excited to see the new Yarnie things that I have? Should I just do some highlights or like only share when I'm casting on a project? Like what do you want from me? Because I don't want to be talking for 20 minutes about the new yarn purchases I've made if you don't want to hear about it. So let me know down below what you want. But I definitely want to try to share the things that I've got, because there's lots of things that I'm excited about right now. Let's get started, and I'm going to kind of show you the things that I've purchased and talk about all the fun goodies that I have and my plans for them too. First, we'll start off with Knit Picks. So I am an affiliate, so I'll leave my affiliate link down below. It just means that if you decide to purchase through my link, the cost isn't different for you. It's the same cost that you normally would spend, but I get a kickback for referring you to Knit Picks. And so that's a great way to support my channel by buying things you already would from Knit Picks. I really, really like them as a affordable yarn source, especially for things with different fiber blends. Like it's not just mostly acrylic yarns like what you would see in a big box craft store, but you get a lot of wools and alpacas and cotton blends and all sorts of interesting yarn blends, like what you would find from your local yarn store or like an indie dyer, which is really fun. And they have some other accessories and stuff too, which is mostly what I bought this time. First, I want to share, they have these cedar wood boxes. Now, cedar wood is a moth repellent from my understanding, and Rachel is Knitting on Instagram had like a moth scare recently, and so that made me think maybe I should get more cedar. And so I got a couple cedar boxes. I'm going to store my socks in them in my dresser, and so I already have some socks in one of them. I need to rearrange a bit to put in the second one to fit my hand knit socks. It smells good and fresh, and I do not want any moths to come after my knitted stuff. So I'm excited about that and trying that out. I also got a few bag type things. They were having a sale recently, and I got some notions pouches, and these are just like a simple pouch. There's no like special pocket on the inside or anything, but I think they're super cute and would be great to throw in like your scissors, like a stitch marker case, crochet hooks, just, you know, a couple of things that you don't want to get lost, especially in a bigger bag. So I got a handful of these so I can, again, organize for my projects and my project bags and just make sure I have like all the tools that I need. I do need to organize. Things are looking kind of crazy. I'm dismantling my closet in here, so there's a whole bunch of stuff. It's just kind of chaotic in here right now. So I'm hoping to kind of, when I get a chance to reorganize, settle some things, get things kind of situated. I also got, this is a Swift case. So I already had a Swift from Knit Picks, and this Swift case is this beautiful cloud color. It's kind of like a yoga bag with the strap, but my toddler kept grabbing my Swift and like playing with it, and it's an umbrella Swift. She was kind of rough with it, and so pieces would like pop out of their like slots and it would get jammed up, and that was stressing me out. And so I put it in a bag, so now she does not touch it in like passing moments because she doesn't see my Swift, which is really nice. I also picked up, I want to do more like sock yarn review videos, and I have one that's coming hopefully sometime this month. I need to sit down and like try to organize my footage that has spanned over months and months and months, which is not ideal. So it might take a while, but I wanted to do a Hawthorne sock yarn sock review. This is the color Blueberry Speckle, to be more like gender neutral. Just I needed more blues. My plan for the Hawthorne line of sock yarns is to make some baby socks, to have like a little supply of baby socks to give to friends having babies, family having babies, things like that. And so I wanted to kind of flush out my Hawthorne stash. So I have this blue speckled yarn for that. So that's a video that'll come out sometime soon. I just think that making baby socks will be really fast. It's a great gift idea. I've really loved giving like something from my friend's registry in conjunction with like a baby hat or pair of baby socks, because it's something handmade, made with love, but they also have something that I know for sure they want to use. But then also like socks are really useful to keep babies' toes warm. So I have this with the hopes to make a video about Hawthorne yarns and to make baby socks, and just making sure I have a good spread of colors and color palettes, all sorts of babies, whether boy or girl or whatnot. So I have that. That'll come up sometime eventually, whenever I get around to it. I'm pretty sure now that I have all of the Hawthorne line of yarns from Knit Picks. There's a handful of different, there's like speckled, tonal, things like that. So I have, I think, all of them addressed. So I'm ready to work on that in a little bit. Oh, so many beautiful yarns. I got a sweater quantity from Dying Wishes Yarn Co. They were doing a moving sale, Sarah was. This is He Sent Me You from their Encanto collection. And I have loved this yarn since it first came out. I like had major regret that I didn't get this one. And so I was just waiting for more to show up. She finally put some more in her shop and I made sure to snag it. This is Fingering Weight, her Shocking sock base, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. I don't have a specific pattern in mind for this, but this would be definitely enough to even make like a sweater, especially if I held it with like a mohair or something. I can make a summer top with this. I might even be able to make a crochet summer top with this. So I have options here. I just knew I needed this yarn and I needed it in a garment. I have so many fun sock yarns here to share with you. This is one that I've gotten a couple times from Luru Cotton, though I've never started a pair. So I really need to start a pair. This is her vegan sock yarn. It is 40% tencel, 40% organic cotton, and 20% elastic. It is a fingering weight yarn, and this is their monthly club that they're doing. They're just doing a in the moment, inspired by the month, the feelings, the vibes. And so this was January's color, I think. Yeah, so I got it at the very beginning of February. It's called Winter Glow Set. Beautiful. I love me a good pastel, so I'm really excited about this. And the next one is coming in soon. It's shipping right now. So that one is like an evergreen type of color. So pretty. I'm not going to do it every month, just when it really speaks to me. And I love this yarn. So I need to try it. I think I want to do a little video trying like vegan sock yarn without wool. Like I think that's really a unique experience that not a lot of people have done, and so it'd be really nice to like vlog my experience and share with you what I think about knitting or crocheting with a skein like this. I just got this in the mail. This is from Mezzo Makes, and I ordered it from their Napoleon Dynamite collection. I need to rewatch that movie, I think. But this is the color Tots. Whoops, like slipping through. I don't know where this strand came from. Anyway, this is called Tots, and I was thinking that on my Make 23 video, I talked about the Humble Bee socks. I was thinking I was going to use this, but now that I see it in person, it might be too variegated to really show the texture of the Humble Bee socks, so I might swatch and kind of see. Because of course it looks like, wow, like really yellow and really brown, but I do think that it kind of is more blended throughout the skein in general, so it's not so stark. So we'll kind of see. I think I should swatch it, maybe cast on a cuff and kind of see what I'm thinking. But that was the plan for this, and now I'm not sure if that's what's going to happen with this yarn. And then this is the Deb and Prom sock set. Again, I love me some pastels. So pretty. Ah, I love it. I love pastels. If you look, you can see all sorts of things. Maybe I should do a yarn stash tour one of these days, but I love pastels. I love like desaturated like mauves. It wouldn't necessarily be a pastel, but like in that kind of like sagey greens and mauves, like those kinds of desaturated colors that are kind of like a darker pastel or whatever. And I also love like blues and teals and greens. So that's kind of like my color palette. So those fit right in. Then I have a lot of self-striping sock yarn. This one is a special one I purchased. This is Earth Tones Girl, her collaboration with Wonderland Mitts. So this is the color Falling in Love, and they originally did this collab last year, but I was in the middle of moving when they were putting it on sale. So when I found out that they were going to pre-order it in January, I was so excited. I was gonna wait till January so we could be settled in so I could buy this. It is 90% superwash Targhee, 10% nylon, and the texture of this base, the spin is like really interesting. I don't know, it's just different than like 80-20 that I'm used to, but it's not nearly as smooth as like a 75-25 would be. So it's just really interesting. I'm really excited to work this up and see how this base feels, because I have not worked with this base before with the Targhee. Some beautiful fall colors. I love it so much. And then I had a big order from Desert Vista Dye Works. If you participate in their knit along, you can get free skeins of yarn and coupon codes. And so I used my 30% off coupon code to get like a big haul of yarn. I'm almost set through the end of this year so that I can continue to participate if I want to in the monthly sock club. I already shared, oh, I don't think I shared what colorway it was. For these Journey socks, this is Valentine Roses is the color. Nice and pastel-y. And then the next color that I'm hoping to cast on for my sister-in-law's shorty socks, this is Hydrangea. More pastel. She's a pastel person too. I figured that I'd make shorties for her and me. I'm gonna cast this on really soon too. It looks like it also might be like only like a 3 or 4 color stripe. Super cute. I also got Ashes. I'm not sure, it might be inspired by a book. All the purples and pinks and stuff though, so really pretty. Let's see, what's next? This is called Succulents. It's got that greens, pinks. This really pretty like burgundy purpley color for like the flowers that you find on a lot of succulents. And then this one, because we will have our own garden for the first time this year, I thought this would be so fun. This is Pick Some Peppers, all the different colors of peppers you can imagine. Green, orange, yellow, red, all that stuff. And so I know that we're probably gonna have some peppers in our garden, and I thought this would be fun during the summer months. And then last but not least, this is called a wine tasting. It actually is fairly similar to the Wonderland Mitts, though it looks like a black. Yeah, it's got black, it's got burgundy, and it's got a little bit more lighter tones with the red and pink and orange and yellow. So this has a lot of different colors. Is it like a 7-color stripe? I can't remember, but I saw this color first because Maddie from We Share Needles was working on a pair of socks with this yarn, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need that color. And she told me what color it was, and then a few months later when I was purchasing, I saw that they had wine tasting listed because they rotate through a lot of their colorways month by month. And so perfect timing, I made sure to grab it. And for me, like 30% off, that's like about 1/3 of the price, right? Not quite, a little bit less. If I buy more than 4 skeins of yarn, then it's like worth it to me to do the 30% off instead of doing 1 free skein of yarn. If you do the sock club for 6 months, you can get a free skein of yarn. So I'm like, okay. I was given the choice to either use my 30% off coupon from doing the last 3 months of the year, or to do 1 free skein of yarn for doing the last 6 months of the year, because I only did 6 months in the year. And I decided to do the 30% off coupon and just make sure that I buy more than 4 skeins of yarn so that my savings were more than the purchase of 1 skein would have been, if that makes sense. So that's why I did an extra big haul, was to make the most out of that coupon. And now I'm good for like March, April, May, June, July, and I think I have August, September. So I am through the first 3/4 of the year just with the yarn I have now. And I'll probably look on Ravelry, like stash buy, to, you know, grab a couple extra skeins if I want to down the road for like a cheaper price to get them off people's hands. And then I'm basically good for the month. Could also do like a monster pair of socks, like holding a bunch of different strands together and marling things, and super scrappy. I can do that for 1 month. So that's kind of the plan. I'm excited and satisfied with this beautiful yarn purchase. They had a lot of colors this past month that definitely spoke to me. I am good for Does It versus Dot Works for a long time right now, I think. At least that's my plan. That actually was quicker than I thought. I wanted to share things pretty fast so I could move things along. But again, let me know what kind of yarn goodie things you want me to share. If you want me to share, I know sometimes it can feel kind of old, like watching the same content creators like sharing like big hauls every single time they podcast. But this is like over a month, so it's been kind of spread out, my handful of purchases, and I can only share them here, like in one big swoop. So if that's not something you enjoy, let me know and I can kind of pare it down to just a couple highlights or something, just kind of whatever you guys want. But let's get right into kind of life stuff. So since I last talked to you, I've started my new job. I'm 3 weeks in. I am working at a hospital in an ICU, training to be back into the ICU as a nurse. I have a little bit of ICU experience at the beginning of my nursing career. There's a lot of refresher that I need. And honestly, I'm so out of shape with working 12-hour shifts and like running around taking care of my patients. So like it's been exhausting, though I'm starting to get the hang of it now and to feel less tired and just kind of have like the stamina to be a nurse again, because I took a 1.5 to 2 years break for when we moved to California. It's been good. It's a lot to learn and it's a lot physically, though it's related to nursing that I have done before. So a lot of it has come back to me fairly quickly. There's still lots more to come back to me and to learn, and it'll be a little bit before I really feel confident in my ability as a nurse on my own. But I'm working with like other nurses, like with preceptors, so that I can kind of get up to speed. It's a long drive. Like in best case, it's like an hour-ish to drive to work. If there's any traffic, if there's any poor weather, oh my goodness. A couple weeks ago, there was a massive winter storm in Utah. It took me more than twice as long to travel the same distance to work. So even though I tried to leave at 5:15 and then my car was stuck. Had my husband help try to pull it out with his Jeep, and then it wasn't working, so I just took his Jeep to work. And even then it took me like an hour and 45 minutes to drive, and normally it would take me 40 minutes from where I was driving. So not ideal, but it is what it is. And I am getting kind of used to that driving, and I'm seeing if taking public transit, so I'm not driving quite as far. I mean, it'll save me on gas. It'll be a little bit longer, but especially since I'm going to be starting some night shifts this week, it might be nice not having to worry about driving after working my first 13-hour night shift and spending like an hour to get home. Like, it might be nice to just take the train for like most of the drive and then spend only 15 minutes in the car. So I don't know. I'm going to kind of feel it out and kind of see, should I plan on driving to campus, taking the train, all sorts of stuff. So we're figuring it out. Just still trying to get into the groove of things here. Being able to ride the train means I can knit a little bit, eat some snacks, watch some YouTube, kind of just decompress a little bit more than driving in traffic. So that's been really nice, actually, to have some extra quiet time to do that. And I have been able to do some knitting like on the days where I'm doing like online class. They have like critical care nursing classes and modules and things that I've been doing, and so I've been able to do some knitting during that too. Part of me feels like I should be making more because I have so many things on my to-do list, but also part of me feels really satisfied in where my energy is going, and I've been able to still maintain like exercising on my bike. We have like an exercise bike that I got for Christmas, so like using that most days when I'm home, and like sitting down for some like scripture study time to kind of feed my spirit. So even though I'm not doing as much knitting and crocheting as I would like to, I still feel like I have a good balance in like self-care so far, and hoping to maintain that. I do want to get some more reading done. I just have not had the energy in the evenings. A lot of times, like even yesterday, I didn't work. Well, I did some like online modules, but I didn't have to drive into work or anything. And I also wasn't working for 8 hours. I only had to work for like 6 hours. And even then, I like passed out at 10 o'clock because I was so tired. Just like my sleep debt over the past few days, making do and hoping that night shift will not be as bad as I am like mentally prepared for. I should probably start staying up later. Let's see, today's Saturday and my first night shift is Monday night. Probably start staying up later tonight so then I can stay up even later on Sunday night so I can sleep most of Monday and go to work. If you have any tips for a night shifter, let me know. I'm not sure My schedule's just kind of all over the place right now, but starting sometime in April probably, I will be on my own schedule. I won't have a preceptor, so I'll be making my schedule, or at least hoping to start doing that. So within the next few months, I'll hopefully get into a better routine schedule-wise. I just don't know if I want to work weekends or nights or days or nights on the weekend, because I definitely don't have 100% control. But if I pick the less desirable shifts, then it's not unlikely that I will have my schedule fairly consistent. We shall see how it all goes. That's kind of all that's been going on with me. Like I said, I really haven't been reading. I started a book on Hashimoto's thyroiditis because I have been diagnosed with that. Honestly, it's listening to Andrea Mowry talk about her chronic illnesses that she's been dealing with. I think she has Hashimoto's too. And it's just kind of inspired me. Like, I have responsibility to myself and my own personal wellness to learn more about this illness, learning ways that I can be more well with this condition. It's not just about taking thyroid medicine, because Hashimoto's, it's an inflammatory autoimmune disorder, which means that it affects my whole body. And I was feeling like, yeah, the medicine was helping, but I also feel like I'm still not myself physically, and I've been on the medicine for about a year. So I'm like, I need to be doing something different. So right now I'm educating myself so that I can learn more about how to take care of myself better in my condition. And I do really feel like that's what I need to do right now. And I'm excited to be able to like make some informed decisions about my health and like adapting my lifestyle to fit my health right now and like help improve my wellness. But I've only read a little bit. I really need to start like reading it more regularly. But other than that, like I have a whole stack of books that I've bought recently that I want to read, and I haven't gotten into that stack yet. I really didn't read in February. If you have any really good books you want to recommend to me, I always love hearing recommendations. And I downloaded Storygraph. I've heard it's a good alternative to Goodreads, or you can add books to your TBR or to be read list. You can like mark off what you're reading. You can give reviews. You can, check out what other people are reading, things like that. So I've been using that to kind of track books that I'm keeping tabs on, so that hopefully I can continue to read and build a better reading habit, especially I think with like sleep hygiene, as I've been trying to like go to bed earlier in general to help with waking up early to go to the hospital for work, that I can, go to bed easier with some good sleep hygiene, reading some books instead of scrolling on social media. It's the ideal. So we'll see. I guess I already decided I need to stay up late tonight, so maybe I will start reading a book that'll like keep me engaged. Who knows? We'll see. I'll probably have to switch around and do a lot of things. I don't think there's much else to say. That's kind of how life has been. Let me know what you're up to, what things you're making, what things you would like to see from me in the future. And definitely, I just want to get this out of my life. I want to check this off the list. I want to get it to a good home, to a subscriber. So definitely make sure to comment on any ideas that you have for what you want to see from me and my channel, so that I can continue to make content, even if it's less regular than before, but that I can continue to make content that is enjoyable for you and that you want to be around for. So make sure to comment on that, and I will see you next time. Happy making! Bye!